Today we're going to make a bottle caddy. Let's build that. Start out by ripping a 1/4 inch sheet of plywood 5.5 inches wide. I then cut this sheet into two 1-foot sections. These will be the two ends. Now I'm going to cut a dado. To do this, I'm setting up a scrap piece to make sure my dado is right. And then I set up a stop block and I cut two saw blade widths to make a 1/4 inch dado for my plywood. Now I'm going to rip a 5.5 inch wide sheet of 1/4 inch ply, and this will create the floor. Now I'm going to tape my two sides together with the dados lined up, and once they're together I can cut the angle for the handle on both, that way they're symmetrical. So I'm just marking out about 4.5 inches down, I think 1.5 inches in off each side. I'm just going to mark this. I'm going to set up some stops so that my angle's right, and I'll just cut two angles on each side. That way it creates a taper towards the handle on the end pieces. Now I'm just marking the center, and I'm going about 1.5 inches down, and I'm using a 1-inch spade bit to drill a hole through both of my halves for my handle. Now I'm going to take this 1x2 poplar stalk and rip it into two 1/4 inch sections. These will be my slats. I'm also going to take this shorter stalk and rip it in half, and these will be my dividers. Now I'm going to rough out my measurements for my base, which should be 7.5 inches plus the two dividers plus the depth of your two dados. I think it ended up being 9 inches exact. Now I'm just cutting my two bottle dividers into 5.5 inches because that's the overall width of my bottle caddy. Now I'm going to rough assemble my base and my two sides and measure out the total width, 9 3/8 I think. And I'm setting up a stop block, and I'm going to cut all my slats to the exact measurement of the width. So like I said, I think mine came out to 9 3/8. So I'm just cutting two at a time, and I cut 6 slats total. And I'm also going to take a 1-inch poplar dowel, and I'm going to cut a handle that's the same width as the slats. Now I'm just putting a slat flush with the surface, and I'm going to trim my bottle dividers so that they line up with the top of one of the side slats. I don't know the measurement, it all depends on how high your dado is. And these are all your finished pieces. Now I'm just cutting the tip off an old paint can opener, and that will leave just a rod with the end, and they have these hammered pieces that will work well for opening a bottle. To mount this, I'm going to take a drill bit just big enough to fit the bottle opener in, and I'm going to drill a hole in the end of the dowel. And now I'm just giving everything a quick sand to clean up any of the burrs from the sawing and the resawing. Now I'm going to mix up some 5-minute epoxy, and I'm going to use this to epoxy the paint can opener into that hole we drilled in the handle. That way the bottle opener will stay intact and be solid with all the use it'll be getting. Now I'm just going to glue everything up, so I'm starting with some glue in the dados, slipping in my bottom piece, and I'm just going to clamp this together. Once I have that base set, I'm going to put the dowel for the handle in, apply some glue, and put that in, and with these two lined up, that should square up this entire caddy. Now I'm just going to put some brad nails through the side panels into the dowel just in case it does come free, it won't spin, and that'll keep the bottle opener aligned. Now I'm just putting a little bit of glue on my two dividers, and I'm going to set them up and space them out 2.5 inches from each side, and since we did the math already, that should leave the middle gap at 2.5 inches. That happens to be the average size of a glass bottle. Now I'm just elevating it up so I can fit some clamps up underneath my caddy, and I'm going to clamp each end, double checking my measurements to make sure it's still 2.5 inches. Now that it's all clamped up, I'm just going to flip it over and put 2 brad nails just to hold it in place while the glue dries, so I can take the clamps off so I can continue working. So declamp everything. The sides have been on long enough that they should be pretty well tacked up. And now I'm just going to orient all my side slats. I had some burn marks. Looks like I need a new blade for my table saw. But I'm just going to put all those up so I know those are going to be the inside. Now I'm just going to put some glue on and put 2 nails in each end. I'm using this 3/4 stock to give me some spacing, that way it's consistent. And I'm just going to do 2 nails each slat, 3 up the side, gluing each time. And once this side's on, I'm just going to flip it over and repeat the process. Flush on the bottom, 3/4 gap all the way up. Now that the last slat's on, that's pretty much your caddy complete. And you can see it fits 3 bottles, so 6 total. Now I'm just going to use a chisel and clean up any of the excess glue that squeezed out during assembly, because that'll affect our stain. Anytime wood glue is on wood, the stain will not soak in and you'll see a blonde spot in it. It's not very good. So I'm using some espresso stain, and I'm just going to stain all the surfaces I can with the rag, and anything that's hard to reach I'm going to use just a simple foam brush to get all these hard to reach areas. And there it is, your caddy's pretty much complete. You can stain it whatever color. I ended up putting some polyacrylic to seal it up. There's your bottle opener built into the handle. So, pretty sweet little project. And here's a couple pictures. Like I said, it can hold 6 altogether. You can make it in any different size depending on what you want it to hold, whether it's soda bottles or glass bottles, or maybe you could repurpose it for holding other things. And there's the bottle opener, works good. So hope you like the project. Fill it up, take it on a picnic, take it to a friend's house. You know, it's a good conversation piece. This was a housewarming gift for a friend. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want, you can share it with a friend. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel, You&I DIY. Video every Wednesday if I can. And I appreciate you coming out and watching this video. Thanks for the support. As always, I'll see you guys on the next project.